So in our last tutorial, we covered anatomy style videos done by Zack D Film. It was a beginner friendly video, and today let's create this shooting animation in Blender. These types of videos are really important because Zack D Film uploads a lot of videos with the same topic. What I meant by that is that in his 3D videos, he will be constantly shooting at something. And not just that, he will be explaining what will happen if we shoot through objects. For an example, there are videos like what happens if we shoot through a bulletproof glass. And also, I remember seeing a video with the topic what happens if we shoot inside a submarine. And the best part about these videos are that these videos are so easy to produce. So this one is going to be a really easy tutorial. And with this one tutorial, you will be able to make lots and lots of other short form content. The scene is pretty simple. What we need is a model, a gun, a bullet, a stand, and a gold bar. If we add all of that together, we will easily be able to produce such a video. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Right now we are in Blender, and over here I've set up a scene like this. And if you want to create a scene like this, I have already made a tutorial, and I know that you don't want to go over there and watch another video. So I'll play the video right here so that it will be easier for you to recreate the scene. For the people who already know how to do this, skip to this time frame. So in order to bevel the cube, you have to go towards edit mode. Either you can click on this option and select edit mode, or you can just click on tab and it will take you to this mode. And over here, we have to select this option, which only select the edges of our cube. Now you can go and click on each edges to select them. For a quicker result, you can select one edge and then use a short key which is Ctrl+L to select every edges which are linked to the cube. As our edges are selected, it will be easier to bevel it. And for that, go towards the modifiers tab over here and click on add modifier. And then just search for bevel modifier and you will have something like this. And over here, if we increase the amount, then we will have a much larger surface area for the smoothing to take place. I'm going to keep it at 0.15 and increase the segments to have that smooth finish that we want. I'm going to set this to 25 and this will be our result. Now we can exit the edit mode by clicking on tab, and the next step would be to add that blue grid texture to our cube. I forgot to tell you one thing, which is this blue grid texture as well as every other 3D model we are using inside of this video will be available in the description. You can always download them for free and use it in your projects. No issues there. But if you want to grab this project file which I am working on right now, then you can tap on this link which will take you to Gumroad. Now all the animations and the camera movement along with the camera settings and everything I have done inside of this project file will be there. So if you want to support this channel and help me create more videos like this, then do check it out. Now let's get back to our texturing. For adding this blue grid background to our cube, we can go to this materials tab and we can rename this to blue grid. Now on the base color section, you will see this yellow dot. Click on it and select image texture. Two new boxes will appear. Click on the open option, locate our blue grid background and select open image. Even after doing that, we really can't see anything, right? That's because we are currently on this solid render mode. And we have to change it to texture mode by clicking on this option. And just like that, our cube, which has been covered with this grid background, is now visible. But still, the blue grid background is not properly projected to the cube. And it's so big and not so clean at this moment. And in order to fix that, we have to open one more window to play with the scale settings of this blue grid background. And for that, move the cursor to this corner like this and it will turn into a crosshair like shape just like we see in the games. Now click and drag to create a secondary viewport like this. On this viewport, we have to change the editor type to UV editor, and now we have this gray grid screen. Now in order to bring our blue grid, we can go towards this image icon and select our blue grid image. And if we zoom out, we can see our entire image like this. But we can't see anything on our screen, right? Like we can't use the scale options or the rotation, or we can't even move it anywhere. So in order for us to have this flexibility, we need to go towards the secondary viewport, make sure you select the cube and hit tab to go towards edit mode. Right now we can see this unwrapped cube texture on our screen. And each face is laid out for us to have a better understanding on how the textures is being applied to the cube. Don't worry about it, just press U on your keyboard to bring the unwrap options and just select cube projection. Now we have a single cube to play with. What we have to do next is to hit S on our keyboard to scale this cube projection lines. And you know what? Take it all the way up. If you do that, we can see the grid on our cube is also getting scaled down, giving us this perfect set for our 3D animation. I call this as a set because no matter whatever videos you are doing, this will act as a background for your videos. And it will be much more easier to produce videos with this blue grid background because it's kind of popular in the short form content. And I really have a good offer for you. If you go to the first link in the description and if you purchase this project file, You will not only get the project file, but you will also get this set which you can use in any of your videos. And this actually saves you a lot of time while creating videos from scratch. So I highly recommend you checking it out. It also supports the channel and helps me create much more videos like this in the future. Now let's get started with the video. The first thing we should do is to import our models. And for that, let's go over here to the files and click on import FBX. And I'm going to locate where these files are. First of all, I'm going to import the metal stand, which is this one. And we have it right over here. After that, I'm going to import this stand, which is this Greek pillar. Let's place it over here. And over here, we can see that the Greek pillar is missing its textures. So in order to import that, let's open a new window like this. And on the editor type, let's select Shader Editor. Then let's go towards our Node Wrangler tab. If you're missing this Node Wrangler tab, what you should do is to go towards Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and search for Node Wrangler. If you enable this one, you will have a tab like this. And this is the best way to import models in my opinion. Because if we just delete all of these ones and only keep our principal BSDF as well as our material output, we can freshly import any textures into the scene. For an example, I'm going to click on this principal BSDF node. And if you click on it, we will have these options over here. And I'm going to click on this Add Principal Setup option. If I do that and go towards Assets, locate our stand, which is this one, and go towards Texture, select all of these and click on Principal Texture Setup. Magically, we will have our texture imported to our scene. And this technique is much easier than importing each textures one by one. So for now, our Greek pillar is also done. The next step would be to import the rest of our models. For that, let's again go to Files, Import FBX, and let's select our character, which is this rigged shooting character called Adam. And Adam with his textures are already in the scene. I'm just going to rotate him to the left hand side like this. And also I'm going to move the pillar a little bit towards the back like this. And also the pillar is a little bit big. So for that, let's rescale it down like this and keep it in the center. We can also move the stand on top of our pillar. I'm just going to roughly place it over here. After that, let's import our handgun, which is this one. And we can see that the gun is not visible on our scene. That's because our gun model is really small. And in order to scale it up, what we can do is to press on our S key on our keyboard, which represents scale. After clicking on that and dragging our mouse button, we can see our gun like this. I'm just going to move it up and rotate it to the other side like this. And over here, we can see that the gun is also missing the textures. And in order to import it back, what we can do is to again go towards our Node Wrangler. And before that, make sure you selected the gun, which is this one. So I'm just going to hide the bones, which are these ones. I'm going to click on S to hide them. Then let's select our gun like this. And I'm going to deselect whatever things which are not necessary for our selection. And after that, I'm going to use a shortcut, which is M, to move it to a new collection. I'm going to click on this new collection and name it as gun. Then let's click on create. After that, let's import our model with the Node Wrangler setup. So I'm just going to click on one part of the gun like this. Then I'm just going to delete all of this. And after that, let's click on this principal BSDF node. Click on this add principal setup. Go towards our gun textures, which is this one. Select all of this. Click on principal texture setup. If we do that, all parts of our gun will have its textures, which is perfect. After this, let's import our bullet. And the bullet file is not an FBX file. So you can just go towards File, Import, and click on this FBX. You'll have to click on this OBJ file, which is wavefront.obj. Only if you click on that, you will be able to import our bullet. So I'm just going to click on .obj wavefront. Then I'm going to locate our bullet inside of our folder. Click on Import. And with that, our bullet will also be visible on our scene. Also, while importing the bullet, we will have all of these unnecessary files, which we don't need. So I'm just going to delete all of these as well as these ones. And I'm only going to keep this one, which is our actual bullet model, and delete the shell as well as the other part of the bullets, which we don't need for this video. I'm going to select our bullet, and we can see that there are two parts. There is a tip as well as the body. So I'm just going to select both of them and click on Ctrl J. And over here, we have a small problem, which is that our control points for our bullet is placed far away from it. It should either be at the bottom, which is over here, or at the center, which is almost over here. If it's far away, we can't really control the oscillations or the directions of the bullet more accurately. So in order to set the origin to its center, what we can do is to go to its object and select this origin to geometry option. And if we do that, it will be much easier to control with these control points. Now let's add a new texture to our bullet. And for that, let's go towards the material tab, which is this one. I'm just going to delete these two materials, which we don't need. And I'm just going to use a new texture, which is this one. After that, select the base color. I'm going to give it a golden color, which is this one. And I'm going to increase metallicness of our bullet like this, and also decrease the roughness like this. If we do that, we will have a golden bullet like this, which is perfect for our video. Or if you want, you can also change this color to white, which also gives us a silver bullet kind of vibe. This is also cool, but I'm just going to give it that golden color, which I really like. And with that, our bullet is also done. The next step would be to rearrange them properly as per our reference video. And for that, I'm going to use a shortkey, which is 1, 3, and 7. So the 1 will take you to the side view like this. And we can see that most of our scales are not proper. So I'm just going to click on objects individually like this and just going to scale it down with the S key pressed. I'm just giving this height because it is in line with our model's hands. I'm also going to place a stand on top of our pillar like this. And we can also scale it down. And I forgot to import our gold bar, so I'm going to do it right now. So let's quickly import it. And with that, we also have our gold bar on our scene. I'm just going to place it on top of our bar like this. And over here, we can see that the center of our gold bar is not in line with our control points. So I'm just going to go towards object, set origin to geometry. After that, I'm going to rotate it like this, 90 degrees. We can go to the top view by clicking on 7. And over here, I'm going to click on R to rotate it 90 degrees like this. And then I'm going to move it on top of our model like this. And I'm trying to keep it exactly on the center. And we can also move the stand to the center like this. After that, I'm going to click on 1 to go to the side view again. And then we can click on R and rotate it 90 degrees to this side. I'm going to place a gold bar like this and also scale it up a little bit like this. And after that, I'm going to scale this down and keep it on top. And this will be our preview, which is perfect. We also need to import our textures back for our gold bar. And for that, I'm going to delete all of this. And then let's select our principal BSDF node, click on add principal setup, go towards our gold bar textures, which is this one. Select all of this and click on import texture setup. And with that, our gold bar textures are also done. Now let's fix our model. For that, I'm going to click on 1 to go to the side view. And let's see if all of them are aligned properly. And over here, we can see that the hand placement of our model is exactly in line with the gold bar, which is perfect. The only thing left to do is to rescale our gun, and for that I'm going to select the gun like this. I'm going to move it closer to our model like this. Then we can rescale it down. And I'm going to place it over here. And also we can click on 3 to go to the back view like this. And let's see if all of them are aligned perfectly from the back also. And again, in order to recheck all of that, I'm going to press on 7 to go to the top view. And we can use this as a reference line. So the center line is over here. And our gold bar is sitting over here, which is not what we want. So I'm just going to select all of this and deselect this one. Then I'm going to take the gold bar to the center of our line like this. And after doing that, we can see that all of our model is kept at the center of this red line, which is perfect. Don't forget to save your file like every 5 minutes. I forgot to play around with our bullet model, and for that, let's go towards the top view one more time and reposition it according to our gun model. So I'm just going to rotate it like 90 degrees on this side. And let's place it in line with our gun like this and also scale it down a bit. Let's go to the side view and bring it up like this and keep it over here. Now let's see how it looks inside of our set. And for that, let's go over here and click on this viewport shading. And with that, our scene is 90% done. What's left to do is our model animation as well as our camera animation. This character model over here has an animation baked into it. And if you want to know how I did that, let's go to mixamo.com, which is this site. Over there are two tabs, the character tab as well as the animation tab. From the character tab, I selected this model called Adam. And on the animation tab, I will just type in shooting and I've selected this one, which is this pistol shooting animation. After that, what you have to do is just download this as an FBX file. And if you do that and import it back to Blender, you will have something like this. And if you want to play this animation, just take your playhead to the very first frame, which is this one, and then click on spacebar. And if you do that, we will see this animation playing on our screen. And if you want to know more about how this animation is getting played on our screen, what you have to do is just go over to this bones, which is right on top of our Adam's character. I'm just going to click on it. And if you do that, we will see all of these keyframes happening on our timeline. And on each frame, some motion is getting applied to our bones, which is represented by these keyframe points. The same goes for our gun as well. For example, if I go and click on the bones of our guns, which is this one, we can also see these keyframes which controls the motion of our gun. So right now what I'm going to do is to connect our hands to the gun. because we want our character to actually hold our gun and fire a bullet, right? And just keeping our gun on top of our model like this is not gonna work because our model moves in a different direction that of our gun. And right now we should track the movement of our hands and connect it to the gun so that both of them will move similarly. And in order to do that, we have to add a constraint to the scene. And for that, what you have to do is to just select the gun like this, and then we can go towards the constraints tab, which is over here. On the drop down, we can select the child of constraint, which is this one. After that, there is a target option over here. I'm going to click on this icon over here and select our arm measure, which is this one. So right now, what I think that happened is that our gun just turned into the child of this character. And you know that children are getting controlled by their parents. So whatever the parent does will be mimicked by our child, which is the gun. And we are not done here actually. There is an other option in which we can specifically say which of these bones actually controls our gun. Because if we just select our arm measure like this, there are many bones running over here. For example, there are bones for the fingers, there are bones for the feet, and there are many other bones which are happening inside of our character. For example, if we select our bones and go towards our data, which is this one, and select this in front option, we can see all of these bones which actually controls our model. And right now, the bones which are actually holding our gun should be the one controlling them. So I'm just going to untick this one, and I'm just going to select the bones of our gun, which is this one. And then I'm going to go towards the constraint tab one more time. And over here, I'm going to select this target bone. And then I'm going to select left hand thumb 3. If you do that, our gun suddenly disappears from our scene. Don't worry, our gun is over here on top like this. And in order to fix this issue, what you have to do is you go over here on the set inverse option and click on it. If you do that, our gun is back to its original position like this. Now if you play our animation like this, we can see that our gun follows the exact movement of our hands, which is perfect. If you look closer, you can see how neat this is. But still, this happens on the side view. We need to fix this from all other views. And for that, I'm going to select the bones one more time and I'm going to move it to the left hand side like this. And with that, this is our animation. Quick note, I found out that the bones which we have just assigned is not really that accurate. So I'm just going to cancel this one and reselect this as left hand middle 3. And if you play our animation, this is what happens. But there are small issues happening on a scene. We can see that the right index finger of our Adam character actually presses the trigger on the 6th frame. But the gun isn't actually following that trigger movement. And in order to fix that, what you have to do is to just select the bones of our gun, which is this one. And then I'm going to select all of these keyframes and move it like this. So previously, our gun animation started from the very first frame, which is frame number 0. And by the time it's reached the 6th frame, most of the animation was done. So when we select all of these keyframes and move it to the 6th frame, which is over here, we can see that now the animation starts from the 6th frame, which is actually perfect. And after fixing that, this is our animation. If you want to tweak this even more, what you have to do is to select our bones like this, go towards pose mode over here, and then we have to go towards data and set this as in front so that we can see all of our bones. Now if we select this bone, we can only see the keyframes which have been applied to this particular bone. And let's just say that in my animation, I just don't want the magazine to drop. So what I'm going to do is go to the very first frame, which is over here. And let's see where the magazine actually drops. So I'm just going to use the arrow keys to move from one frame to other. So on the 7th frame, the magazine stays inside the gun. And on the 8th frame, we can see that the magazine actually drops to the floor like this. So what I'm going to do is to select all of these keyframes till our 8th frame. And I'm just going to delete it like this. If we do that, we can see that the magazine actually stays inside of our gun, which is actually what we want. So right now our Adam character is holding the gun and both of them are moving similarly, which is natural. We also want one other component to have the same animation, and that is our bullet over here. So we're going to do the same thing which we did before. I'm going to select the bullet like this. Oops, sorry. I'm going to change this pose mode to object mode so that we can select the bullet. And then I'm going to select our bullet like this. And I'm going to add a child of constraint to it like this. And set our target to our arm measure like this. And again, I'm going to select the bone as left hand middle 3. After that, I'm going to set inverse like this. And if you play our animation, this is what happens. So in brief, this arm measure over here is controlling the gun as well as the bullet with this child of constraint. The next step would be to actually reposition our bullet inside of our gun's barrel. And for that, I'm going to the side view with the one key pressed. And then let's take the playhead to the very first frame like this. I'm going to zoom in like this and reposition the bullet inside of our barrel as close as possible. The bullet requires a little bit of rotation, so I'm just going to click on R to rotate it like this. And also I'm going to move it a little bit up and keep it inside of our barrel like this. After that, what we have to do is go to the front view. So I'm just going to click on 3 And then we need to go to the opposite side. So I'm going to click on 9. And for now, we need to hide the gold bar so that we can see the bullet more clearly. So just select that and hit H to hide it. After that, I'm going to move the bullet to the right hand side like this and keep it inside of our barrel. And if you look at the bullet from all the directions, we can see that the bullet is placed inside of our barrel, which is actually what we need. I'm also going to hide all of these bonds because they are getting in my way. So I'm just going to select them and hit H. So same goes for our armature as well. And with that, everything is placed properly. Now our manual animation starts. And for that, let's go to the 6th frame, which is over here. And on this frame, I'm going to select the bullet like this. And after that, I'm going to add a keyframe over here by clicking on I. And then let's go towards the 120th frame, which is over here. And on this frame, I'm going to move the bullet towards a gold bar like this. And for that, I'm going to the side view by clicking on 1. And make sure our playhead is on the 120th frame. And on this frame, I'm going to move the bullet towards the gold bar like this. And also at this frame, let's bring back our gold bar, which is this P cube 1. So I'm just going to unhide it like this. I'm also going to move the bullet to the center like this. And after that, I'm going to click on I one more time. And if you preview animation, we can see the bullet actually going towards our gold bar like this, which is actually perfect. So I'm just making sure it's in the center of our gold bar. And for that, I'm going to click on 3. And then I'm going to click on 9 to go to the opposite view like this. And over here, we can see that the bullet is not exactly on the center of our gold bar. So I'm just going to go towards the 120th frame one more time like this. And then I'm going to move the bullet to the center of our gold bar like this. And again, I'm going to click on I to replace our keyframe. And if you do that, our bullet stays at the center no matter whatever happens, which is actually good. The next step would be to animate our bullet actually hitting the surface of our gold bar. So as per our reference video, whenever the bullet hits a gold bar, there is this deformation happening on the gold bar. So we need to do that exactly on our gold bar. And there is an easy trick to do that. But before that, we need to change a little bit of settings. First of all, I'm going to select the gold bar and go to edit mode like this. And over here, we need to subdivide the curves of our gold bar. And this happens both in the front as well as the back. And in order to do that, what I'm going to do is to actually select one of the surface, which is this one. And then I'm going to right click and hit on subdivide. I'm going to change the cuts to 20 for now, and I'm going to see how it looks. So 20 is kind of okay, but we can do like 60, and 60 looks neat. The next step would be to add the same value on the back side of our gold bar. The drills are the same. I'm going to select the back side like this. I'm going to right click and hit on subdivide. After that, I'm going to select this number of cuts to 60 and hit enter. And after doing that, we can go to a object mode like this. Now, in order to do our deformation as per our reference video, what I'm going to do is to actually select our gold bar. And then I'm going to go towards this physics tab over here. And in this, I'm going to select dynamic paint. There are two options over here, which is canvas and brush. For the gold bar, I'm going to select this canvas and click on add canvas. After doing that, I'm going to click on this anti-aliasing box, which is this one. And after that, we need to tell Blender where our animation starts and stops. So as per our previous keyframes, which we added to the bullet doesn't go inside of our gold bar. And we need to change that right now. So I'm just going to move the playhead to the 120th frame like this. And then I'm going to select the bullet and move it inside our gold bar. And let it also get pierced through our gold bar like this. And then I'm going to click on I to replace our keyframe. Now if you preview animation, the bullet actually goes inside our gold bar like this, which is actually what we want. And now if you look at it, on the 107th frame, the bullet actually is about to touch the gold bar. And this is the exact value which you should input inside of our physics tab. And in order to access that, I'm going to click on our gold bar like this. And then I'm going to go towards the physics tab. And on the frames chart, I'm going to type in 107. Now the bullet actually exits our gold bar right over here. So on the 113th frame, our animation ends. So I'm going to input it over here like this. Now on the surface, I'm going to select this displace option. I'm going to take the bullet to the 107th frame like this. And after that, let's select our bullet. And again, on the physics tab, I'm going to select dynamic paint. And on the dynamic paint type, I'm going to select brush. And after that, I'm going to select add brush. Now, if we slowly preview animation, we can see this happening on our gold bar. So there is a small deformation which happened to our gold bar, which is exactly what we want. And if you feel like the animation is perfect, what you need to do is to go towards this cache section, which is over here, and then just hit bake. And with that, our bullet animation is done. The next step would be our camera animation. And for that, let's go to our camera like this and select it. And I'm going to change the second viewer to a 3D viewport. And I'm going to preview what our camera sees right now. And for that, let's click on the camera icon, which is this one. Or you can use a shortkey, which is number 0. And if you do any of that, you will have a view like this. And right now the camera is not facing any direction. It is just looking up like this as per our viewport. And there are tricks to actually make our camera follow our bullet, which is actually what we need as per our reference video. And for that, I'm going to move the playhead like this to a frame in which we can actually see our bullet. And after that, let's select our constraints tab, which is this one. And then I'm going to add a track to constraint. Now what we need to do is to actually select our bullet. And for that, let's select the target eyedropper and click on our bullet like this. So our bullet is actually the cylinder.004. So if we click on it, suddenly the camera points exactly towards our center. And right now we can't actually see it because our character is blocking our bullet. But if we just move our camera like this, we can actually see our bullet exactly in the center like this. In order to have a better view, we can just move our camera closer to our bullet. And if we do that, we will have a closer look at our bullet like this. And just because we added this track to constraint, no matter where our camera moves, the bullet will be in the center of our camera. And trust me, this actually saves you a lot of time. And there is this one more thing that I would like to do to our camera, and that is to add a little bit of depth of blur. And for that, let's select our camera like this and go towards the camera data, which is this one. And over here, let's select this depth of blur option. And then I'm going to select our bullet as the primary focus. So I'm going to click on this eyedropper and click on our bullet, which is a cylinder.004. And after that, I'm going to change this f-stops to like 5 or 6. Maybe in the end of the video, I might disable it if it doesn't look that good. But for now, I'm just going to keep it. The next step would be to animate our camera movement. And for that, I'm going to take the playhead to the very first frame like this. And on this frame, the bullet stays inside of our gun. And on this frame, I need to have this shoulder view, which is this one. I'm going to move the camera a little bit like this and move it to the right too. And then I'm going to add a keyframe right over here by clicking on I. After that, let's play our clip and see where the next keyframe is going to be. So right at the 37th frame, I'm going to move the camera a little bit close towards the bullet so that we will have a zoomed in view like this. And I'm just going to add one more keyframe over here and just going to preview how it's going to look. And this would be our preview, which is actually good. Now let's see where the next keyframe is going to be. So right at this point, I'm going to just move the camera a little bit closer towards the bullet like this so that we will just see a little bit of that gold bar as well as the bullet on the frame. And I think this is perfect. I'm going to click on I one more time to add a keyframe. And now if you preview our animation, this is what we will have. After that, we need to zoom in our camera to the right hand view so that we can have a better view of how the bullet is going to impact on our gold bar. And from our previous section, we know that the bullet actually hits the gold bar on the 107th frame. So I'm just going to take the playhead to the 107th frame like this. And then I'm going to move the camera closer to the gold bar like this. And also I'm going to move it a little bit to the right. And this view is kind of good. And right at this frame, I'm going to add one more keyframe. Now let's take the playhead to the 128th frame like this. And I'm going to move the camera to the back side like this, which is not exactly like our reference video, but I like to keep it this way. And I'm also going to move it a little bit like this so that we can see the character as well. And right at this frame, I'm going to add one more keyframe. Now, if you preview your animation, this is what's happening on our scene. Now, in order to check if you've done a good job, what I'm going to do is to take some render samples and see if the scene is well put. And for that, I'm going to take the playhead to some random frame like this, and I'm going to hit on F12 to preview the render. And to be frank, this frame actually looks good. And it took 1 minute and 20 seconds to render one frame. And this one is another frame which also looks good. So far our camera animation as well as the camera movement is perfect. Now we need to add a little bit of lighting to actually accentuate our gold bar as well as our character. And for that, I'm going to exit this screen. And then we need to add some lighting to the gold bar. And I'm going to change this viewport settings to like wireframe so that it won't just overload our GPU. Now we need to add some light source. And for that, I'm going to click on this add option. Then under light, I'm going to select this spotlight. The spotlight will be kept over here. I'm just going to move it towards our model like this. And also on the lights, we can add that track to constraint. And for that, I'm going to go towards constraint tab like this. And I'm going to add a track to constraint. And let's set the target to our gold bar like this. After that, I'm going to move the spotlight towards the front of our gold bar. And I'm going to keep it a little bit down like this. After that, let's go towards our light settings like this. I'm going to change the color to a warmer color. And after that, I'm going to increase the power like this. And let's see how the render is going to be. So I'm just going to click on F12 to preview the render animation. And still there is no much change. So I'm just going to exit this one. And I'm just going to turn on our set on our props area, which is this one. And I'm just going to turn it on like this. And with that, our gold bar lighting is almost done. The next step would be to duplicate this light one more time. And I'm just going to place it over here and move it towards our character like this. And right now our light is getting tracked to our gold bar. We need to change that to our character. So for that, I'm going to go towards our constraints tab and change this target to our character like this. I'm going to move it to the side. And if we go towards our first frame like this, and then if we increase the power of our light a little bit like this, we can see a little bit of change which happened to our character. And for this scene, this lighting is actually perfect. We don't actually have to add much lighting to it because already we have this area light which is happening on top, and it is having a value of 5000. And also there are this small light on the right hand side as well as the left hand side like this. And if you actually get this pack, you will get all of this lighting, this cube, this set, the perfect render settings for all of your videos. So do check it out. It will be linked in the description. What's left to do is to actually go to our output tab like this. And then I'm going to change the frame end to like 120. After that, I'm going to change the file name as well as the file type. I'm going to rename this as shooting animation. And then I'm going to click on accept. The file format is FFmpeg video. The encoding container is Matroska. And right now I'm just going to close this window like this. And then let's go towards our render tab and click on render animation. I hope this video was really helpful. Do check all of these assets out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye and take care.